This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
The doctor's on 700 WLW. All right, we're going to find out about what's going on in some of the local schools with the levies. Get an update now. Sharon Poe joins me now. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, good morning. Good looking. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. So you are very knowledgeable what's going on specifically in Mason schools. We'll touch on some of the other ones. I want to get an update on, first of all, what's going on levy-wise there?
Well, the latest is that they're going to hold off on the levy. They're going to wait to see what the state's going to cut. However, and then they said they possibly would be looking at maybe November. But the deal is, Doc, is that according to our treasurer, Dick Gardner, he said that we had enough to sustain ourselves for 5 years. So why would they ask us for any more money right now with the difficult situation people are in financially for any more money? It makes
Sharon,
my head explode.
Sharon, these people are such visionaries. They don't want to wait till the last minute. They're looking 5 years down the road. You and I are worried about short-term stuff. These are big picture people, Sharon. That's what it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I was confused.
No, of course they're not. And that's the problem, Sharon. You and I both know this, and this happens over and over, district after district, all across the country. This is smoke and mirrors. This is just trying to protect this little fiefdom they've created, not just in Mason, but in school districts all over. The administrators do not share the pain that cuts cause when it comes to parents having to adjust to it, teachers being cut, all of these different things. They just only know, let's bring in more money.
Well, it's just, Doc, I was thinking about this the other night, and how many people would like to have 5 years of finances in a bank somewhere? If something would happen. These people are saying, am I going to have enough money to buy groceries this week? And, but maybe people want to take the money that they're hoarding and put it away for their children's college and draw interest on it. I mean, it's just so selfish-minded. It just makes me so angry that these people just don't care.
It's the gall for me. It's the gall, and it's not blindness because they know what's going on. They're not stupid. They saw what happened in November with the levies. They've seen year after year, ballot initiative after ballot initiative for levies all over the place. They see what happens. They know people don't want it because people don't have it now. And yet they continue to float it out there because all they know is go after more money.
That's exactly right. And that's why, again, and I do appreciate you coming to our school choice meeting last week. And again, these are things we have to look at seriously because there has got to be a better way to educate our child and to educate it in a fair way for everybody. And, we're falling behind, globally. The money is not doing any good to educate the child. And if we continue to supplement these schools instead of supplementing our children, we're never going to get anywhere.
I had a teacher email me the other day after having a discussion about schools and funding and stuff like that. And she was very nice about it, but she was like, well, Doc, the problem is, we require funds for all this. I mean, completely missing everything that I've said, completely missing the guy from the Milton Friedman Institute that we have on, all of these things. And I had to provide her, Sharon, with the facts. I wasn't rude, but I said, okay, look at school choice in Florida and look what it's done. It's cut costs and it's increased education, what kids are actually learning and graduation rates substantially. I said, history is proof that I'm right with this stuff, that just spending a bunch of money doesn't work. And you've got teachers like this and administrators that are either agenda-driven for their own careers or don't know the facts. Either one we shouldn't have running the schools.
Well, that's absolutely right. And a lot of people have been, blinded by the rhetoric of the schools. Oh, my gosh, if you don't pass this levy, our kids are going to suffer. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. It's never been for the kids, Doc. It has been for the administrators, the employees, to their lavish lifestyles, their Taj Mahal buildings. I mean, it has just gotten so out of hand. And if we don't put our grasp around it and stop it, it's just going to become unsustainable. The
school choice meeting the other night was great. A lot of great information we had on couple of the state reps that were there discussing some of the issues, and information that I didn't know about, like the online class clearinghouse. That's amazing. We go on and Ohio leading the nation. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, these are the type of things, number one, it's going to stop the monopoly of the government, with our public, school system. It's going to create private sector jobs. It's going to give people a more individual choice on how they want to pursue their children's education. This is what America was founded on. This is what is called liberty. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
All right. I hope everybody does continue to investigate school choice on their own and realize the benefits and use Florida as the example because they've been on the front line of this. And also, go to the Milton Friedman Institute and look up the information on school choice. It's a good situation, and that's something we need to be exploring.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right. I got to ask you about what else is going on at Mason High School. You had a teacher that got into apparently a little bit of trouble being investigated. We don't know very many of the details about that. She, I guess, investigated for inappropriate emails, which was, have you heard anything else about this?
Doc, I really don't want to say too much because I don't want to get sued or something.
Sure, no, I understand that, but are people talking about it?
Yeah, I've got a lot of credible information about what really happened, and hopefully it'll come out. I mean, there's a lot more going on to this situation than what people are being told. There's a lot of students' Facebook postings that, have talked about this teacher and the things that have gone on in the past. And some of it, may be credible, some of it may not, but I think this teacher has had some issues in the past. Unfortunately, Kevin Bright, our superintendent, has protected these type of individuals in the past, and eventually, it comes out and they are eliminated. But unfortunately, our children are the ones that suffer. If it would have been, stopped in the beginning instead of, reprimand after reprimand after reprimand, don't do it again, it's very sad.
So this teacher was placed on leave. And from the only information I've seen that's been officially released is that it is pending an investigation, more information pending an investigation for inappropriate emails. But I've heard that the speculation is that there was inappropriate activity as well, aside from emails.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, this, they're saying, has nothing to do with it, but you've got an assistant principal that has resigned. Are you hearing that is connected with that, or is that completely independent?
No, the word is that he is connected with Schuler.
Do you know anything else about it that you're able to talk about when it comes to the assistant principal?
No, I don't. At this point, that has been very hushed, and I'm not sure if he just got out of Dodge before anything, before it got worse, or, if, they're saying there's no police investigation with him, but from what I'm being told, I don't understand why not.
Okay, yeah, if he's connected with that, if it really is, and she's, there's a police investigation with her, well, then you would think that he would be part of the investigation, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll say this, Sharon, I understand that they don't want to put too much out in case this is, there's nothing to this. You do want to protect people. You don't want their name slandered or anything like that. You don't want their name dragged through the mud. But these are also public employees. These are people that were around, the children in Mason.
Yeah.
So they have such a high standard, and public employees, it should be very open and transparent. I have a little bit of tolerance, but not a whole lot for secrecy. I will give them a little bit of time. I'll give them a little bit of leeway for the investigation. And then after that, in short order, you better be giving me some information. You better be telling me what's going on. It's my money. It's my kids. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely, and I think I sent you the message that came in from the principal of the high school, and basically at the end of the message it says we all play a role in making sure our schools are safe. Remind your child how critical it is to talk to an adult in our school. If he or she sees or hears anything that makes him or her uncomfortable or seems out of line. Hint, 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 hint. And and this is I mean, it's why.
How are kids supposed to do that if there is possibly inappropriate situations going on and we don't even know all of the details on the stuff? I mean, are these people that your kids can trust or not? We don't know that. The kids don't know it.
Exactly, and and that's the sad thing, that it boils down to, Doc, is that as a parent, you should feel comfortable knowing your child's going to school. It's supposed to be a safe haven for your child. When in fact, and I know, it was funny the other day when I was listening to Sloaney about this, and he's like, "You're going to be shocked when you hear what school district this is." Doc, I could give you case after case after case of this.
You weren't really shocked?
No, not at all.
Anybody who's there isn't really shocked?
No, not shocked at all.
Well, you know what, Sharon? That's the next piece of the puzzle then too. If this is something that you say you're not shocked because there have been things in the past, when is somebody actually going to clean up the mess? When is somebody going to get serious about this?
Well, we're not. It's not going to happen until we, change guard.
Change guard and actually get to the bottom of what's happened this time. All right, keep me posted on what's going on with any other issues in Mason schools, and also whether or not they decide to float a levy out there, Sharon.
Hey, I will, Doc. And could I just say real quick that the Warren County is having a Tea Party meeting Monday at 7 o'clock at the Warren County Fairgrounds Grandstand.
Give me that one more time.
Warren County Tea Party. That's at the Warren County Fairgrounds Grandstand, 7 o'clock Monday.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. Have a great day.
You too. I'm actually going to try to be at that one. Go out there and meet some people, see what's going on. All right. Sloaney is the one who first floated some information before it actually hit the paper about what's going on in Mason schools with the superintendent and the teacher there. I'm going to try to get Sloaney on next, see if he has any more information. 700 WLW. Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for meteorologist Frank Marzullo. You got sun and cloud mix this afternoon, high around 35. Snow showers develop after midnight into Saturday morning, overnight low around 27. We're at 20 right now with the big one. Sloaney joins me now, talk about what's going on in the Mason schools. Have you heard anything more about this principal and this teacher?
Well, the problem with a story like this, until something is made public, is, Doc, that there's a lot of rumors circulating too. So you kind of got to be careful with that. I'll disagree with my friend Sharon Poe. I kind of heard the tail end there when she was on and saying she wasn't shocked at all. I think I'm shocked, and I'm sure if you live in like Lakota or you live in Western Hills, you probably heard that and went, whoa. I think anyone who even kind of maybe heard the story is really going to be shocked because from what I understand, and we'll hear, I think sometime early today, I keep hearing that the indictments are expected to be handed down, and we're talking at the very least multiple indictments here.
Okay,
this has been an ongoing pattern of behavior for some time.
Okay, so we're actually talking, we're this close to indictments.
Yes.
What?
I don't know if it could be as early as today. It could be, with the Whitmer thing. I don't know if that has any bearing. I heard some people said that may have a bearing on why this has taken so long, because they're a little bit overwhelmed with all that's happening. But let's face it, if it's true, the number of indictments that I'm hearing, this is going to be a national news story.
This is going to be big time. This isn't some small little.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sharon was kind of leaning towards, from what she's heard, that this is just what we've heard is just the tip of the iceberg, that this could be the big deal.
Right. That's what I'm hearing too. And again, it's a really good point she brought up too, is the fact that, and I saw the email that came, and I'll paraphrase, Doc, that the school said that, I think a day or two after the story broke, that the school district came out and said, "Hey, look, it's an ongoing investigation. We protect the kids. Kids are number one." And then the last line was something telling that said, basically, don't allow your kids. Don't allow your kids or yourself, please don't spread rumors about, what some of the hearsay is. And I'm thinking, isn't that the problem in the first place? If this allegedly has been going on over a period of months, if not years, somebody's got to hear that in a school district as big as Mason. If all these people on Facebook and social media and students and former students have been talking about this, I'm sure that's got to get back to the administrators, right?
I would think so. Back when we were in school, prior to all the possible outlets for rumors to spread, we heard stuff like that, and some of them ended up being true. I don't know if you experienced any of that in your public school.
Especially at that age, you've got kids, you've got rumors, you've got teachers, you've got. I'm sure it is like a big petri dish of gossip. You think of a school. You think there's gossip in your workplace. I'm pretty sure a school or a high school is probably a petri dish of gossip. It's just stuff all over. But you've got administrators, you've got resource officers. I would think you'd have to investigate that. I mean, isn't that why, not to throw it out at a resource officer, but isn't that why you have that mechanism in place, is when they hear stuff like that, it's kind of boots on the ground. Somebody hears something and goes, well, maybe we ought to investigate. I remember a few years ago that they went and started pulling lockers in Mason High School because there was a rumor that somebody brought cough syrup to school.
Okay,
they're tossing lockers like it's an episode of a Lockdown on MSNBC, and they've got the dogs, everything in there, and I think they found, I thought the story was they were looking for marijuana and they found some cough syrup. I'm thinking, if you can hear those rumors and react to them that quickly when it's cough syrup, if this is all true, why did it take you so long to go after this woman and find out what the truth is?
And even if it is that petri dish environment, which I'm sure you're right, and there's probably a whole lot of that. The teachers gossip as much as the kids do. It's back and forth. It's still, there's differences between, you hear one thing here or there, and then you hear everybody talking about something. And even if everybody is talking about this one thing and it's not true, you would think that the administrators would want to get out in front of that too, to say, guys, this isn't true. Let's not cause a panic. Let's not cause parents to come down and start, protesting the school or anything.
Sure.
I mean, you investigate that stuff to dispel them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some due diligence there. When my kid brings a plastic knife to school to spread peanut butter on a piece of toast, and he's sent to Guantanamo Bay because he's perceived as a terrorist, you react rather quickly to any perceived threat of things like that, and there's a zero tolerance policy. And I hope to God that this is all overblown and it's more rumor than anything, and it turns out that there's some inappropriate action between her and the vice principal and maybe a past student who had since graduated, and that would be best case scenario. But from everyone I'm talking to, that's not the case. It's a worst case scenario.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. Could be as early as today.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We'll have, and as I said, I keep hearing more. We'll be right out of the gate with this at 3:06 this afternoon, the very latest. And indictments I'm hearing may be handed down sometime before then. So we'll see. And I think, Doc, in closing, the other thing to consider is, remember, Mason, residents there just voted down a levy. Do you think that this levy that they want to put back on the ballot is going to have any chance of passing in the next year if this becomes a national news story?
Probably not, but I can see their spin. We need more people. We need more money so we can, investigate stuff like this, keep it from happening.
That could be the play, but it's not going to work with voters. I think voters are basically would be fed up. I think if this goes down like I keep hearing and we keep talking about and speculating that Stacey Schuler may, and it's her, but it's also those responsible may have single-handedly knocked this levy down again. I
don't think it had much chance of passing anyways, but you're right. That's the final nail in the coffin. All right, Scott Sloan will have more right at 3:06 today at 700 WLW. Thanks, sir. Quick call here. Tom and Mason, you're on the big one.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Real good. Hey, everything's fine out here in Mason, man. I just get tired of hearing all the bad news about Mason. I've been here 27 years. I feel the school district has run, real well. I mean, I think when I moved out here, maybe 150 graduates per class. Now it's over 700.
No, wait a minute. You're saying it's run well, but what if these things are true? What if it's significant? Yeah, as significant as we're being led to believe it could be a national story. And I'm not going to speculate on what those things are. But let's say that people are indicted and that this is a national news story. Obviously, some things going wrong.
No, I mean, there's a couple incidences. It's a big school. I'm not defending what they did or allegedly have done. But, if it goes national, it's not their fault.
No. What I'm saying is that it's
the media.
No, what I'm saying. No, the media is just reporting on a significant story. You can't blame the media if it goes national. It means it's that big of a story. You were defending Mason like we're saying something inappropriate. We're talking about a situation.
No, I know it's a news story. I put 2 kids through school here. If I had more, I'd put them through here. I mean, it's a great school district.
No, but is your perception that Mason is being trashed somehow?
Well, no. When it keeps being talked about, it gets old after a while.
No, we're talking about it because it's significant. You could have a situation where a teacher and or a principal did something incredibly inappropriate and maybe even illegal. That's the reason it's talked about. And I would think that you would actually call up and thank the big one for providing this information and this service to the community.
Well, no, because I knew you guys were about 10 steps behind. I'm a big fan of WLW.
No,
don't
what
get me wrong.
10 steps behind what? We had the story before anybody else did in the media.
Yeah, in the media.
Okay, so who else had the story then outside the media?
Well, no, about it.
What's that?
I knew about it.
Well, okay, you knew about it. Where were you?
I live in Mason.
No, how did you know about it, and what did you know?
It wasn't from the media.
No, how did you know about it?
I've talked to people that go to the school.
Did you call the police based on those rumors?
No, I never call on rumors.
So you weren't concerned enough as a citizen, you're defending the schools, and you were turning a blind eye? Then you say,
no.
Although we weren't on it, we were 10 steps behind, we were the first media outlet to actually be on top of it and care about it, and yet you're defending Mason like we're trashing it somehow, saying the media is responsible for this getting play instead of us providing information and a service to the community. You are incredibly lost, my friend. Your call's coming up on 700 WLW. All right, man, we are on top of this stuff today. 12:06, Bill Cunningham. More on Whitmer on 700 WLW right out of the gate. Sloaney is apparently incredibly connected on this thing. The Mason School teacher and assistant principal. I've gotten several emails and some credible sources off the air that have said, yeah, this thing could break as early as noon today. Indictments coming down, like Sloan said, and also go national very quickly. This could be coming that quickly. All right, let's go. Mike and Coleraine, you're on 700 WLW.
How you doing, Doc?
How you doing?
The only thing I need to say is, this stuff needs to break, and it needs to break quicker. I think I would run the superintendent out of town if he had anything to do with this as far as reprimands, but I got to tell you, I know a lot of people in Mason, and I don't like too many of them because they have this unity attitude that they're better than everybody else. Their school system is better. So for the guy that you just had on before the break to say, to have the attitude he had that it shouldn't break nationally or whatever, unless I misunderstood. But, they're trying to protect their image, and that's all they're worried about.
And that's always the killer, Mike.
It's not about the kids at all, exactly.
That's always the killer. Anything public like that, it needs to be as transparent as possible. If you're talking nationally and national security, of course, there are limitations. If you're talking school systems in a situation like this, you need to protect any kids involved and also anybody that is being accused that is innocent. So, yeah, there are some things, but it needs to be as transparent and as open as possible. That is what keeps us honest.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that she's going to come out and say, because I've had 5 reprimands, I wasn't fired because the superintendent said, well, I have my own need, and this is my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking she had other things she had to do just to get a reprimand, and I think the assistant principal and the superintendent both were in on this whole thing.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. There were speculations of the teacher having inappropriate behavior that didn't have as much to do with the email. I'm not going to go into details on that, but that was one of the speculations. If that is the case, I can't figure out, again, just speculating, what the assistant principal's connection to this case would be. I can't quite put that piece of the puzzle in. It doesn't line up. Unless you really take some big leaps. I mean, just some really outrageous behavior. If that's the case, yeah, this could be the story nationally, maybe one of the biggest stories of the year. Very, very odd. All right, let's go to Mike in Milford. You're on 700 WLW.
Yeah, I just basically want to say, keep on doing what you're doing. Everything from the news department, you, Sloaney, Cunningham, everybody. With news departments cutting back and stuff, you guys are hanging in there doing what you're doing, and I can do it on a $7 radio that I bought at the drugstore, and that's just far out, to have this information.
I appreciate the compliment. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's that's what we do here. We have a lot of fun. We entertain, and we bring you information and facts, and we let you sound off at times about some of the things going on in the community. That's the important part. Got an email, guy who's going to remain anonymous, doc at 700WLW.com. He said there's been rumors regarding administrators, former and resigned board members, and teachers as well. He said, of course, that played a large part in why the levies failed this past November. That's his speculation as somebody who lives in Mason. Got Rick in Lebanon. You're on 700 WLW.
Yeah, Doc. I live in Lebanon, and, we have the same situations going on here, and what this whole thing stems from is parents, students, they try to go to administration and try to, report stuff. And what happens is the administration, being the assistant principals, the athletic directors, superintendent, all the way up, what they are is they're all past educators. So there's like a secret little code here where they don't want to turn on each other. So then they try to hide stuff. In fact, in Lebanon, there was a situation with a coach. I'm going to leave it names anonymous. But he was investigated, and what they wound up doing was hiring their own attorney. The Lebanon schools hired an attorney, interview people, and then won't make the results public because they hide behind the client or attorney-client privileges. This is it's corrupt, and here's Lebanon trying to put on a $6.5 million tax levy. It's going to fail for the same stuff. You got another coach here that's been suspended for 5 games, and they want to hide this stuff, for inappropriate conduct. And this has nothing to do with sexual, but it's just they hide is what they do. This is just a corrupt environment with this whole situation way the schools are ran.
Rick, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely correct. It's not just Mason, it's not just Lebanon, it's schools all over the country. And what has bred this environment goes back many, many decades. It's not just in public schools or at the elementary or secondary level, it's post-secondary as well. These people have, because of things like unions and tenure, they have become very private. They have become very closed. They're not open. They're not transparent. And we've allowed them to get away with that. They've sold us this bill of goods by saying it's for the children. What about the children? Don't you care? And that's not it at all. There are many good teachers and many good administrators. But those good teachers and good administrators know what I'm talking about. They know the environment that goes around. They know it is about not telling the public. You think about this. How many school districts out there have a public information officer or a school spokesperson or a district spokesperson? Why would you have such a thing? Why would you need such a thing? There's only one reason. They need a spin doctor to always make the district, the teachers, the union, whoever look good. Why would you need a spin doctor for a public entity, something we all invest in and need? Why would you need a spin doctor? They don't need a spin doctor. Keep it open and transparent. Allow the information to flow as much as you can. But they've created this own little world, and they like it that way. Their own little world to protect themselves, to allow their step increases in salaries, these contracts like that to continue. They play the games by saying, we're going to cut this and that, we're going to freeze something. Meanwhile, a year later, the step increases continue, or the step increases never stop altogether. It's just other bonuses. It's all smoke and mirrors. This is the world they have created, and we've allowed them to get away with it and not be transparent. We talk about the levies, we talk about the spending, the inappropriate behavior. All of this falls under that umbrella of schools being very closed and not transparent, that we really don't know what's going on there. Now, we can blame the schools. We can blame all of those. Yeah, they're culpable in it. But we have to first blame ourselves because we allowed ourselves to get to that point. This didn't happen overnight. It's been going on for years, and we let it happen. We let ourselves be lied to, marketed to. We allowed the spin to happen. So we're culpable in this. So you got to ask yourself, what are you willing to do about it now? What are you going to do about it to change the culture in public education? What are you going to do about it? Get some more calls coming up next. 700 WL. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Superintendent Don Martin recently spoke about a news story that broke down there that showed records that 31 educators were arrested on 81 charges of taking indecent liberties with a student last year. Think about that. Just last year in this one school district, albeit a big one, 31 educators were arrested on 81 charges of taking indecent liberties with a student last year. Staggering numbers. When they asked him why, he said, well, the school system actively encourages students to report any suspicious activity. So it's just that they're encouraging them to report this stuff is the reason the numbers are high. That was his explanation. He said that's the only explanation I can offer about why our numbers are higher than anyone else. Not touching on that this is a gargantuan problem if it happens once in a school, if it happens once anywhere. But it's all about the reporting. So I guess what he's saying is they should just not encourage the kids to report it. Then they'll get those numbers back down. Way to go, Don Martin. Way to go, Winston-Salem superintendent. Just tell the kids not to talk about it. That's a good public policy. Let's go to Lori now in Bond Hill. You're on 700 WLW.
Hi, I had a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm in a similar situation. Had a problem with some things.
You're a teacher?
No, I'm a parent. And had a problem with some things that the teacher said to my child, the class also. Where does a parent go if you've taken the steps and you've done the proper chain of command and you don't think that anybody is listening?
Well, let's give me a general idea of what happened. Don't use any names, school, teacher, anything like that. You know, your child's name, anything like that. Just give me the general idea of what happened. Sum it up for me.
The teacher played a song in class and had the students listen to it, passed out the lyrics, and the song contained the N-word and referenced suicide and the killing of police.
What was the purpose of this lesson?
I don't know. It doesn't apply to the class as far as I can tell. And I asked the teacher that question, and I was told that I was told by the teacher that teacher does not have to get their curriculum approved by me, which is correct. At which point I became very concerned because some more statements were made concerning similar things like this. And so I started up the chain of command, went to that teacher's supervisor, on. And, you know, I keep getting told, well, it's being investigated, it's being looked at, but the teacher still, obviously the teacher's not concerned because they're still in class making some statements that are extremely concerning. And so
statements using certain words or topics?
Words, phrases,
okay.
Words, phrases.
All right, so how long ago did this happen, where you approached them with the lyrics and that?
Well, first my daughter was told, along with the other students, not to bother telling their parents because parents don't listen to children.
Okay, wait. The teacher said don't tell your parents about this?
That's what the students are saying.
And when was this? A month ago? A year ago?
Started in October, and another parent became irate and actually started the process and got to the point where they just pulled their child out of the class. And I haven't done that. We don't have the same options that other family does.
All right, we're now into February. This is 3 going on 4 months. That's plenty of time for their investigation about something that happened in one class. I just wanted to make sure you weren't saying this happened yesterday and you expected immediate results. I'll give them a couple of months to investigate, but you're working on 4 months now and they haven't gotten back to you. You need to continue up the chain of command. You need to go there and press it. You need to talk to the other parents that are in the class and get them to do it. You need to go to the school board meeting and talk to the superintendent. If they still don't do it, then you go to an attorney and you go to the media and lay out all of the facts. In fact, you give me all the details. You don't get anywhere about it. I'll put it on the air here and we'll call up some people. We'll call up the superintendent. We'll call up, find out what's going on with it.
All right. Thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely. Glad to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Got Forrest in Fort Wayne. You're on 700 WLW.
Hi, Doc. You're doing a great job. My son is in 3rd grade. He's getting straight A's. He had a wonderful year last year at the school he's at. We're over in Southwest Allen County in Fort Wayne. And this year we had some interesting things start up where the teachers, they write reprimands like cop at a speed trap. And these are things dealing with language. You know, my son, he's a boy. Once in a while, he's buddying around. Somebody called him buttface or
sure.
Joking around. He'll say, hey, that sucks, you know.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Well, I tell him, look, you know, knock it off, you know, when to do, when not to do. The teacher writes him up for overhearing him saying under his breath, "That sucks," and sends the warning home. These warnings actually have a checklist. They can take away the recess, and they can actually take an A-level grade and knock it down to a B.
That's wrong. That's wrong. If you want to punish them, that's fine, but not with their academic achievements.
Well,
okay.
Here's the interesting part. He's been given a reading assignment, and he reads out loud to us a chapter a night, and it's his book called Toilet Paper Tigers, and it's about a sports team. And he's reading this book to us, and we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. My wife and I are like, wait a minute. What did you say? We look, there are words in there like, excuse me, hopefully I can say this, but like jackass.
Yeah.
Other things that like I'll see him dead. There's a girl taking photographs of boys undressing in a locker room.
Okay, so both content and the words in the book do not reflect what the school has told him and punished him for. Even they were punishing him for use of certain words that seem pretty benign to me.
Yes,
nice.
yes. And I went in and talked to the principal, talked to the teacher. The principal, she's trying to do her best. This teacher's dug her heels in, and she said,
"Well, there you go."
She is in no way responsible, and it's not her problem. But yet she'll turn around and reprimand my son. It's like, no, you can't have it both ways. So,
Forrest, you are absolutely right. There is a double standard in that situation, and the reason they're digging their heels in because how dare you tell them about the little world that they've created? Appreciate the comments. Doc Thompson, 700 WL. Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for meteorologist Frank Marzullo. You got a sun and cloud mix this afternoon, high around 35. Now, you're going to see some snow showers develop after midnight tonight on into tomorrow morning. You got a low of around 27 for tonight. Currently, it's 23 at the big one. See, the problem is the numbers of these stories that are now coming out. The numbers of teachers that are involved in activities they shouldn't be involved in. And I'm not talking about just doing something inappropriate with a student. I'm talking all of the other inappropriate activities like falsifying grades. There was, what's the book? Freakonomics, the book. One of the chapters in Freakonomics outlines how, I think it was Chicagoland schools, could be Chicago public schools. Anyways, one of the schools around Chicago. They had some weird test scores, unusually high test scores. It was very odd. And when they investigated it, they showed these economists used math to show the teachers had to have fixed the grades. And then it was proven later they did. Those stories are not uncommon because it benefits them to make it look like the kids are learning. Certainly when it comes to you getting funding based on how well your kids are doing, it's stories of teachers writing the answers on the board. They're writing the answers on the board and then letting the kids take the test. Because if kids get better grades, it benefits them. And now we've got another case of that near Atlanta. This just came out a couple days ago. Principals and teachers may have violated the state procedures by sneaking into one of the county schools' closets on weekends and late at night to get their hands on the students' answers to standardized tests. Now, they didn't catch them on camera, but they used their security keys to get in the building. You know, when you have one of those security keys, the electronic ones, not the traditional hard key you stick in the lock on the door, it registers when you're coming and going. First of all, if they were stupid enough to do that, I don't want them educating my kids. No, they're not bright enough. If you don't know that you're going to get busted for something like that, are these really the smartest people? Do you really want them educating your kids? Anyway, security keys gave them away. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution said the district's internal investigation of possible cheating on the CRC tests hinged on illegal access to the tests, and it has led to, not one, not two, 24 educators or administrators being removed from the school. 24 of them. How many other cases like that are going on? Dan, Mount Healthy, you're on 700 WLW.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call today, Doc.
Thank you, sir.
it recently came to my attention when I picked up my little local newspaper that Mount Healthy is going to run a school levy ballot this upcoming Tuesday.
Well, they're all out of money, Dan.
Yeah, well, I just got my newspaper here this past Wednesday, which gave us a whopping 6 days to get the no vote together. You know what I'm saying there? And I find it really interesting because we just voted on this on the last election cycle. It got shot down 60-40, roughly. And then the superintendent, or I should say the former superintendent who just recently left, made the statement that we can't run this thing in May where people would actually have time to know and get out the vote because the deadline has already passed to put that on the ballot. So I find that pretty disingenuous. And in 2006, we voted down their build new buildings levy at about a 70% clip, roughly, and they ran it on another off cycle like this one is coming up on Tuesday, so everyone please get out and vote. And we shot that down 70-30 the first time. Then they ran the off cycle. It snows that day. No one gets out the vote, and the thing passes. Simply amazing. I find it all just very disingenuous of our school board.
And Dan, it's in their best interest to do that.
And I would agree because they don't pay the bill.
Right. And all they do is, fine, it didn't pass this time. We'll see you in a few months.
Yeah, I really think that the legislator of the state of Ohio should go about passing some type of law saying that if you run this thing, it has to wait a year to come back up to be run again.
Well, and this is partially based on the way we fund schools anyways, that, it's based on property taxes, which has already been, proven unconstitutional or ruled unconstitutional. Not every state has to deal with these things. Not every state has to deal with levies. Now, they have their own problems as well, but they don't all have to deal with this. As part of this transition into how we should really fund schools and how we get the biggest bang for our buck and reward good teachers, kick out the teachers and administrators that are bad, bring salaries in alignment. As we think about all those things in school choice, maybe that's one of the things we consider as well. Ron on the east side, you're on 700 WLW.
How are you doing this morning, Doc?
I'm doing fine, sir. Thank you for calling.
Good to talk with you. Yeah, I was calling. You was talking about the teachers getting the test scores up. When I was in high school, we had a teacher. He was a history teacher, and the day of the Ohio proficiency test that you had to pass to graduate at the time, we talked him into going and stealing the test. And he went and stole the test, and he went down through and gave us as many answers as he could to get through the test so we could all get through that test to graduate. I actually didn't have no problem passing any of the tests. I passed my first time around, which it was at that time was just a ninth grade proficiency. But I passed all mine the first time around, but it made it more convenient for him to be able to go down through the list of those tests and tell us as many answers as he could.
Approximately what year was this, Ron?
I want to say it was in the early 90s. So probably 91, 92. The guy's retired now. So
yeah, I don't want you to say his name, but tell me the school district.
Norwood.
Early 90s in Norwood. All right.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Those stories, unfortunately, are not uncommon. Did any wonder why we're slipping, why we're falling behind the world when it comes to math and science? You hear these stories, all the inappropriate behavior, the cheating, the maybe inappropriate behavior with students, all of this garbage. None of this has to be out there. All right, I get some more calls coming in next. 700 WL. Coming up today on The Big Show with Bill Cunningham. 12:06 out of the gate, the latest from the Whitmer trial. And then at about 12:20, Scott Sloan's going to join him on situation at the Mason schools. You got a teacher that's been suspended for something to do with emails. That's all we know. We speculate the story could get very, very big, and there could be some indictment very early today. If that is the case, of course, Scott will give you all the information on Willie's show at about 12:20. And connected with that as well, there's an assistant principal who resigned. My little spidey sense is tingling and saying that there's a lot more behind the scenes we don't know about. Lots of things going on. Out of Washington State, sheriff's deputies had to be called to help restrain a teacher at an elementary school. County sheriff spokesman says the deputies went to the school after the teacher was reported to be swearing and screaming, flipping out at students in the 6th grade class. The 46-year-old teacher appeared to be passing out at her desk as well. No children were hurt. No arrests have been made. She's been suspended pending an investigation there. Again, this is Washington State. The teacher told deputies that she had taken medication the night before and had consumed a couple glasses of wine before coming to school, and a container of alcohol was found in her purse. Teachers, the other teachers know what's going on in the school. You know who's having affairs, who's drinking on the job. You know the information. It's time you start blowing the whistle on these people and holding your profession accountable instead of just looking to the union to protect you. Mike and Mason, you're on 700 WLW.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, we have 2 girls in the Mason School District, been in it for about 9 years. Great school system, but you know, some of the stuff that's been going on lately has just been horrible. And my girls come home and they say, Dad, did you hear about this? And, you know, what are you going to say to them? One of the school board members that was recently elected this year stepped down for personal reasons, and it's a known fact that this person had an affair with the assistant school administrator, and now that person has stepped down and has left the school district. So you've got that on top of what's going on right now with this teacher in high school and the assistant principal, and it's just a bad situation, and we have to explain to our kids, you know, what's going on. It's sad. It really is.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with me. It is very frustrating as parents, and none of this has to happen, Mike. I know bad stuff can happen anywhere. We're not just picking on schools. There is just a lot of this, and the thing that makes this happen, not makes it happen, but allows it to continue at such a level, is that we do have that closed atmosphere when it comes to school. I mean, look at the teachers who don't want you to tell them a thing about how they teach. Now, listen, I know it's frustrating for teachers when parents come in and start rattling their cages on all kinds of stuff, and there are a lot of nutty parents out there that are complaining to teachers about silly stuff. There's a lot of teachers out there that have that how dare you tell me attitude as well. Who do you think you are? You're just a parent. I mean, that really is the attitude of a lot of them. You know I'm right about that. I got an email. Somebody said, I did not see this 3 weeks ago. They're claiming that Lakota had a child molestation case from the FBI just 3 weeks ago. I did not see that one. Tom and Loveland, you're on 700 WLW.
The major problem with schools are the school boards. You got people, take Loveland, for example. You have people on the school board who openly admitted during a debate for their election that they don't even balance their own checkbook and they're not good with numbers.
Well, that's who we want running numbers, huh?
Oh, you know, they're only managing millions of dollars. Yet, the other problem is people need to go to these meetings. I showed up to speak against the Loveland levy because I brought to the school's attention that they were overspending on their benefits over $1 million per year because these consortiums are crooked. And what's happening is these folks need to show up and complain about the levy. These people have no clue what's going on, yet they complain, but they don't do anything. It's pretty sad when I'm the only person showing up to these meetings speaking against the levy when the whole district, everyone I run into at the friendly taverns and stuff are complaining, yet they don't show up. So as long as the school board people keep getting elected who can't add numbers, you get what you get.
I absolutely agree. I called people out. I said, listen, you've allowed this to happen. We didn't get here overnight. This idea of secrecy and schools being closed and the attitude surrounding that didn't happen overnight. We got there over a long period of time.
Yeah, and the second thing is I grew up with 2 school teachers out east Massachusetts, and I'm just going to say this. 99% of all teachers are good. There's a few bad apples that make everyone look bad, and it's unfortunate because take Loveland, they have some of the best teachers in the state, and it's unfortunate that a few bad eggs or a few bad school board members or, heck, Loveland's ex-treasurer stole a little money from us, and, it just makes everyone look bad. And these levies are just making them all look ridiculous. I mean, Little Miami begging for money when, I can walk into any school district and save them 50% off what they pay on their benefits. And it's rather upsetting that these folks are using these consortiums and they're using these other insurance agents. And you got to wonder if some people can't, we got educated superintendents and treasurers out there who got their master's and doctorate degrees. You got to wonder why they can't do third grade math. Maybe we're getting a little money on the side. I don't know.
No, Tom, that's because they're doctorates when they run these school board members. They're doctorates in things like early childhood development, or, you really need a doctorate in that, or it's in environmental studies or some other feel-good garbage instead of something that you want. Yeah, exactly. So you have a school board member there that said they don't know how to balance their checkbook.
Yeah, we had a guy who ran, and they crucified him here in Loveland because he was in fact, he works for the courts. His kids didn't go to the school district. He decided that I don't think he homeschooled them. He sent them to another school, private school. It's his own business. He's a resident of the school district.
Right.
So they had a smear campaign, the 3 board members, because he made a comment that they have to look at everything, including busing and everything, to make sure it's financially stable. So they have this debate, and they stack it with bus drivers and everyone. They totally made good showing. And here we're sitting there unbiased, and and 2 of them. One of them says, "Well, I don't balance my family's checkbook. My husband does." And then the other one says, "Well, I'm not even good with numbers."
Okay, at that point,
and they got elected.
Yeah, no, Tom, at that point, should they not only not get elected, at that point they should have just said, "That's it, I'm out, I'm done." And anybody who heard that at that point should have said, "That's it, we're done." If you that's part of your job when you're on school board, is to worry about numbers that you're not good with.
Well, I could go on and on. It's just, I literally published a book on how to beat the high cost of health care at claimlinks.com. And what's ridiculous is you got these school districts that are squandering millions of dollars per year by being in these consortiums, and it's unbelievable.
Do me a favor.
It's a racket.
Do me a favor, Tom. Send me a link to your book. Just send it to doc@700WLW.com.
No problem.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks so much. How is it that you're on the school board dealing with numbers, talking about budget issues, but you're not good with numbers? I don't even balance my own checkbook at home. I'm just not good with numbers. But I'm going to balance the checkbook of an entire school district. See, that's the problem. These people are not qualified in many cases for the position. Oh, they may be an ex-teacher and have a knowledge of education, but there's more to the job than that. Money, financing goes along with it. Let me give you another example. There is an 8-term Texas congressman who serves on the House Financial Services Committee. 8 terms, 16 years. He's on the House Financial Services Committee. He is filing for bankruptcy. That just came out. Ruben Hinosa. He has $2.9 million in liabilities, $1.5 million in assets. A little problem there. He is not the first member of Congress to file bankruptcy. It is incredibly common. It's not the first to be involved in questionable activity or somebody you don't think would be a good leader. And you've seen the numbers, the people in the house banking scandal, all of these. These people are not good with the economy, with numbers. I don't even balance my checkbook. Same type of attitude. Yet they end up in these positions like the House Financial Services. No, and this was not a situation where he got sick or something like that and it unexpected happened. The guy owns a business that's going belly up. But he's on the House Financial Services Committee. So let me get this straight. You're really bad when it comes to a couple of million and balancing that all out, assets, liabilities, a couple of million. But you're going to be really good when you're dealing with the finances of 310 million people and billions and trillions of dollars. Much clearer when you get up to the big numbers. I guess it's somebody that sings and they say, well, when I sing quiet, I'm not as good. But if I sing loud, I'm much better. Maybe that's what it is. If there's more money involved, then he could see it more clearly. Doc Thompson, 700 WLW. Mr. Cunningham goes to Washington next Tuesday. Willie's going to broadcast live from the office of now Speaker of the House, John Boehner. He'll be there next Tuesday. If you need more details, you can go to 700WLW.com. It's brought to you by Dr. Claude Helbica. And you can check out Willie's blog for the schedule, photos, webcam, all at 700WLW.com. The Lakota teacher, now I remember, that when they'd sent me the email about the Lakota teacher busted for molestation, I forgot it was about the pornography. It was child pornography. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember that now. I'd forgotten about it. There's just so many of these things that come up. If a company, if their financial reporting was so bad that its auditor had pointed out significant weaknesses in its accounting for 7 years running, the Securities and Exchange Commission would be all over it. That's the type of thing they would come out and show. It's 7 years running. Your accounting is that bad. You can't handle the most simple of tasks. That's what has just happened with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The SEC, whose job it is to monitor, is incompetent. Since the commission began producing audited statements since 2004, the Government Accountability Office has faulted its reporting almost every year, 7 years running. It's not a situation where they are cooking the books, fraud. It's incompetence. A watchdog organization can't even get it right themselves. They say it's failed at some of the most fundamental tasks. They can't accurately track income from fines that they have levied. They can't even count the money that is coming to them from fines. Well, who has time to count all that money, right? They can't count the filing fees. They haven't been able to return the money that they have received from ill-gotten profits that they confiscate and then hand it. They can't do these simple tasks. These are not difficult things. You want to know why there were so many problems on Wall Street, people getting away with fraud, Bernie Madoff, stuff like that? How do you expect the Security Exchange Commission to be that watchdog group and to catch stuff like that when they can't even count the money that is sent to them in fines? They can't even get that right. You think they're going to get right the accounting tricks, fraud, the calculated efforts of somebody like Bernie Madoff? See, the problem is not greater oversight and more government agencies as part of reform on Wall Street. It's getting good people who can actually do the job, proper enforcement of the laws we already have, and proper execution by the commissions, committees, and government agencies that already exist. It's not creating 14 more of them. Jim and Amelia, you're on 700 WLW.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
When it was in January that West Claremont Community Journal came out with West Claremont seeks a new school levy, and they're like they're supposed to have between $12 and $17 million in the bank, and then they only got $2 million in reserves, so they need a new levy. So anyway, I got kind of perturbed about this because we've got 2 brand new schools. School levies come up all the time, and I'm like, we have 2 brand new schools anyway. So I made my own sign and put it out in front of my yard. And it said, no more school levies, right?
Good for you. Excellent.
But the cop came by, somebody complained and said, you can't put that sign up. And he made me take it down. And I said, well, it's just a sign. He goes, no, it's not a sanctioned sign. You have to go through channels to get a sign that's been made against this particular policy. I cannot put my own sign up that I made by myself. Isn't that funny?
No, wait a minute. Were you violating some local ordinance that said you can't have a sign certain size or something like that?
No, it was just, I got a old sign that I found, and I laminated over with it, and I just put in big magic markers, no more school levies. And they came by and said, you can't put it up because it's not a sanctioned political sign. That I can't put it out of my front yard, so they made me take it down.
A sanctioned political sign? Is there, to your knowledge, is there an ordinance against political signs having to be sanctioned?
Well, he goes, well, you have to contact the people that are against the levy and have them give you a sign that they already made, and I can't put my own out.
I have not heard. That's in Amelia.
Yes, sir. And
I don't think I've heard of ordinances against certain sizes or no political signs, in certain places and stuff like that. But to say they have to be, who's supposed to sanction them?
Yeah, and I couldn't understand it. I go, well, isn't this a free country? He goes, well, no, you're just going to have to go find the people that are against the levy and get one of their signs. You can't put up your own.
Now, here's the problem with the Jim. Who is the sanctioning body that would say there's only one group, entity, organization, person heading up the opposition to a levy?
Right. I'm supposed to join this group. I can't do it on my own.
Yeah, what about a second group? Can there be more than one sanctioned? What if they have a variety of signs? Do they all get that? That's a bunch of garbage. I would be shocked if there really is an ordinance like that. Well, if there is, correct me if I'm wrong. Just send it to Doc at 700WLW.com.
Okay, well, I just want to let you know what happened, and that's very silly.
I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. That is very, very odd. All right, it's Doc Thompson, 700 WLW. Larry in Springfield, you're on the big one, 700 WLW.
Yeah, I was thinking that guy that put his sign out and the cop said he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Why didn't the cop write him a ticket? I'd have had him write me a ticket, and then I went to court and found out about all this stuff.
That's a great point. I mean, if you're willing to do it, I hate to be wrong then and have to pay the ticket. But no, you're right. Sometimes you got to stand on that and say, show me the ordinance, show me the rule.
Right.
I mean, listen, cops are not infallible. Well, there's a lot of good cops out there. There are some out there that don't know the law, that get it wrong at times, and some of them with an agenda.
Right.
All right, appreciate the comments and clarification. Thanks so much. All right, coming up next, I have realized something. When I've talked about this whole school issue, all of this stuff with the schools, and I said, we are partially to blame because we allowed it to get to this point. I have realized a lot of this happened, or at least started, before I was born. So how come I have to clean up the mess of people's past generations? I blame a lot of this on the baby boomers. My generation got screwed. I will explain how. Next.
The best deals are found at Holman GMC, Ohio's largest GMC truck store. Get 0% for 72 months or $5,000 cash on most remaining 2010 GMC Sierra trucks. Visit them on the web at holmangmc.com.
This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Sloney and Tracy on Demand.
It's Sloney and Tracy for Friday on 700 WLW. Roll until 6 o'clock. Weekend, big doings, Trace. Big doings now.
How you feeling?
A little, actually kind of a little tired today because my phone has not stopped ringing with text and phone calls for probably the last 6 to 7 to 8 hours today.
Concerning what?
Concerning what's happening on in the Mason School District. As you heard Jeff Henderson say, that coming up, we're expecting word out of the prosecutor's office there sometime within the hour regarding what's happening with this Stacy Schuler. And that was the thing, too, is that the people I've talked to in this thing expect a multiple count indictment coming down, that this includes current students, maybe former students, possibly, and we're talking multiple. Wow. So... It's kind of a sad, scary story at the same time. But, also, I think, too, from those I've talked to, we'll see what happens when this announcement comes out this hour. We'll have it for you here on the big one, of course, is that it seems to me, and I don't know how this is not possible, but this thing is not just between a teacher and some students, and also somehow this assistant principal who's since quit is also involved, but not in a criminal way.
And let me stop you right there, because I've got to pat you on the back, Sloan. I know we kid around a lot on this show, but you were all over this story. And my partner broke this story 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Sloaney had this. He has all the details.
I can't tell you, though. I
know you can't tell me, but you're like Woodward and Bernstein, and you know all the details, Ehrlichman, Haldeman, and Dean, and all those guys going back that far. But, that's why I love you, man. As a partner, you're up on these things. You have all the details. Here's the problem.
What's the problem?
I know nothing because you won't tell me.
I will not tell you.
Oh, Tracy, you're a blabbermouth. You're a blabbermouth. Keeping secrets from your partner will have a long-term effect on this relationship. I know nothing. You have all the secrets. You're not sharing, and you know that.
If you were walking around in my brain right now, Tracy Jones, knowing you,
oh man,
the tripod would be up.
Well, because I'd have I have Tourette's.
I can't tell you. I can't tell him anything.
I mean, Sloaney really does know all the details.
I said, do you want to know, or do you just want to know what we're allowed to talk about? And he goes, Long pause. Tracy Jones goes, just tell me what I need to know.
Because you really do. You're getting.
My brother here. He has no filter. There's no.
I have
Trace,
no
keep this
filter.
under your hat. It's just. I once gave him I had something in a locker down the hall. He's like, "Can I get your other set of headphones?" Yeah, sure, Trace. Here's a combination.
Yeah.
Next
37, 16,
Sherry
14.
Rowland comes back down and she says 37, 16, 14. I go, "That's my locker combination." She goes, "Yeah, Tracy told me." He's telling everybody. Think
No
Tracy.
filter.
I had to buy a new locker.
No filter. But congratulations, partner, because this really is a big and breaking story. A lot of details. And I feel like I'm a listener, and I'm going to try to pick your brain as to what you know about
What do you
this.
want to know?
This teacher, how many?
Multiple.
More than 3. More than 3? You have got to be kidding me.
I didn't say that.
More than 5? More than 5?
Slow it down.
What's going on there?
Will you stop?
God, this is interesting. You know who I'm going to call? I'd like to call Mina, who runs the Brass Ass and the Brass Bowl. Can you imagine getting this teacher maybe as a featured dancer, a featured performer? Can you imagine the crowd?
That'd be good, huh?
There's a lot going on here. I'm excited. Can I just sit back? Do you even need me?
How about the nature of this thing? I mean, you've got an attractive teacher.
She's all right. She's all right.
Wait a minute. I need to get a picture of that Facebook. Somebody showed me on a mobile phone. It was a thumbnail of her in a bikini and doing yoga on the beach in Cancun.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Which it looked pretty good as a thumbnail. But I really got to get that picture up on the blog.
Yeah, see, I can't look at that.
I have to
I
send
hear
that
she
to
looks pretty good.
Sloaney at 700WLW.com. Looking pretty good. But as the we'll hear, I'm sure this hour in the indictment, there's I guess, I would assume there's some sort of press conference or media conference coming up because.
More than a baker's dozen.
Come on, Tracy.
More than a baker's dozen.
Not more than a. Stop it.
Okay,
What's
sorry.
wrong with you? This is why I don't tell you anything.
I know.
You're like a little,
It's just killing me.
You're like a little girl.
He's why. Usually we talk a lot before the show. And he says,
No,
Trace, I got it.
I had my office door locked.
Yeah.
What's going on in there? I can't talk to you today, Tracy. Oh, my God.
Anyone else involved?
Well, that administrator has a role in it. The guy, did you see the guy I'm talking about, the picture? Did you see his picture? George Coates. I think he worked at Mason for 9 years, and he resigned last year. Picture of him.
Oh.
Well, you saw her. That's him. That big guy. What?
It's a black guy.
Yeah, he's black. He's African American.
Big black guy.
Yeah, a little thick.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying he's a black guy.
Was I hiding something? The fact I didn't think that was
No, the 3% of me that's fine. Well, he's a black guy.
Was it 3% offended or proud?
I think it depends.
What do you mean?
On the story. I don't know the
depending which way
details.
the
You're the
story
one with all the secrets. There you go.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a secret. We'll see what the prosecutor's office says. But I have a sneaking suspicion. Here's my thing. Okay. Here's the story that ran about assistant principal at Mason, recently placed on paid administrative leave, resigned from Mason High School. George Coates, a 9-year veteran of Mason, was placed on leave for undisclosed reasons. Stacy Schuler was also placed on leave, being investigated by Mason police for inappropriate emails. That was the initial email. Now I'm hearing from those up in Warren County that this latest thing is they're not that concerned about what happened between him and her, but rather what happened to her and students.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I believe this thing was going to go up higher up than what you're probably going to hear about this today. I think there's probably more people that are going to be involved in this, not necessarily students, but people maybe higher up the food chain.
Besides the teacher and the administrator.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that I would believe if that were the case, wouldn't this be a national news story? If you had a teacher involved with students, involved with an administrator, and there were others who possibly and allegedly, and I can't stress that enough, may have known something's been going on, that's a big problem.
What was going on with the administrator and the teacher? Is there because I don't?
No, we don't know. I heard basically.
Well,
Well, electronic communication. So I'm guessing if I were to fill in the blanks, there were probably some sort of pictures involved, possibly something like that.
So that administrator was sending the teacher pictures, texting and pictures of his BBC.
His what?
His BBC.
What's Burbank got to do with this? What are you talking? Oh.
BBC.
I got
C.
you. Okay. You down with BBC? Yeah,
3% of me is.
3% of you is, absolutely. Hey, here's the thing, though. We'll learn exactly what the prosecutor's office there in Mason and Warren County is going to disclose. But I have to step back and think of this. If this is as bad as I'm hearing it's going to be, first and foremost, I would have to say that knowing and having firsthand information, about 99.9% of the teachers in the Mason School District, those that work at Mason High School, Mason Middle School, Mason, I mean, I have firsthand knowledge, outstanding people, good family people, and outstanding teaching. Safe to say, doubt. Some of the best teachers in Ohio work in that school district. And it's unfortunate for them because they're going to be painted with this brush of the scandal. It's really unfortunate for them. Furthermore, as I said, this thing goes maybe farther up than anyone's willing to admit. I'd question this. The decision not to place that levy. Remember, Mason had a ballot initiative on November, went down. And I think in the middle of last month, just a few weeks ago, they made the announcement they're not going to put it on the May ballot over concern of things. I think they blamed the economy and said, well, Kasich has got to decide what he's going to do with the budget, and public opinion isn't right. I saw that time and went, that's weird, because I don't know any district that doesn't put something on the ballot if they
because you have nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. So anyway, they decided not to do this. Now I'm wondering aloud here, with this scandal that's happening, we're going to find out about here shortly. If they thought, well, we know this thing's going to hit the fan. Because I knew about it when last week we reported, the other news outlets followed.
Two weeks ago.
That's back in January. I'm wondering if they didn't think at the time, going, wait a minute, there's probably this scandal's going to break, something's going to happen, a shoe is going to drop. Would it be wise for us to put our effort into putting something on a ballot, initiative on the ballot, if we are going to be mired in controversy when this story breaks? Is it possible? Is it likely? In politics, everything is likely. Is it probable? I think there's a good chance it may have weighed in the decision not to put. So in a way, this scandal may cost students. It may cost teachers. It may cost people their jobs, because the likelihood of a ballot initiative passing, even in the economy the way it is slim. There's no way it was going to pass if this thing broke.
Okay, so let me get this right. It's more than just one administrator and one teacher. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that. It's just one administrator, George Coates, and this teacher, Stacy Schuler.
But you're thinking it goes deeper.
Well,
what do you mean by that?
If this thing goes on, let's just say that the announcement comes out, and let's say that there are people out there that allege this may have been going on for some time. How does that, in a district the size of Mason, where you have teenagers, and you have the petri dish of teenagers with big mouths, males with big egos, you have 20-something-year-old teachers all living together in this petri dish of rumors, which is a high school. How in the hell does not anyone above them realize that there's a problem here? I mean, I pointed out 2 weeks ago, I read from that ratemyteachers.com that there are comments on that webpage talking about making suggestions about Stacy Schuler's decisions when it comes to partners involving students. And it alleges this. And if that's out there on Facebook and that's out there on the internet, how can you claim, if this had been going on, if it turns out this has been going on for some time, and we'll see, that this is an isolated incident, or this is something we just found out about? I don't get that.
Well, let me ask you, and I don't mean to bring Maddie into this, but what is Maddie say? I mean, does he hear things? I mean, anything?
No, I heard a few things, but nothing that I didn't. I think I knew more about it than the kids did. But it's just, it's such a sad situation all around, and this is
because it is a really nice school.
It's an awesome school. I mean, you pay for it, like it's either, you could live in Cincinnati, send kids to a private school or a Montessori or, a magnet school or something like that, and you bite the bullet. And this can happen anyway. We've seen it. There's good, bad, in school districts in the middle that these things happen. You just question the sanity, though, the individual who would do these kind of things, thinking, how do you think someone's not going to find out about this?
Now, are you saying that this went on for 2 years?
This is why I didn't tell you, Tracy.
2 years? Just 2 years? 3 years? 4?
She has taught there for, I think, 10 years.
But you're just saying the last 2 years?
I didn't say that.
How many?
Who?
The teacher?
What teacher?
Come on, man. You're killing me. You
got a big mouth. I can't tell you anything.
I'm trying to get something out of you because you won't tell me the details. I want details.
You know what, Tracy? I could tell the listeners.
Been sitting on this for 2 weeks.
I could tell the listeners more about this if you weren't here. If you weren't around, it's kind of like that guy comes in. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you when Tracy's on vacation. I'll talk to the listeners right now. Tracy, hold on.
So you think this story could go national?
When Tracy's on vacation, I'll tell you.
You think this story can go national?
Well, if it's going down, as I keep hearing, there's a good chance that those TV cameras at Dateline NBC filming the Whitmer trial may hang around Warren County a little bit longer.
Who's your deep throat?
513-749-7000, the big one, pound 700 AT&T. Stacy Schuler. What?
Pictures of his BBC?
What?
Oh, I'm confused.
Where are you getting
Help
your
me out,
information?
will you? You're confusing me.
700 WLW. Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW. Oh, good pick, Paul. That's a good song. You like the Police, Tracy?
Message in a Bottle, I like. I like that song.
Synchronicity 2, good song.
Sting's a little bit of a
This is a good
goofball. When does it start?
What? When?
Oh, there.
Yeah, you
I
should.
thought there was a skip in there.
It's digital. Sloaney and Tracy on the big one, 700 WLW, and the latest on the Mason teacher sex scandal.
I saw a picture of that teacher, not bad.
Before you didn't like her.
It's wholesome.
Pictures on the blog, 700WLW.com, under my Scott Sloan blog there. Real quick here, I keep thinking about getting back to this, and I wonder how long this has been going on, because if it's multiple, as I keep hearing, multiple indictments, you wonder what the timeline is on this thing. How long has it happened? That being said, I keep thinking about Mason High School, the city of Mason, Warren County, the morality police up there. You remember, I want to say it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where the ACLU is getting involved legally in a case at Mason High School where students had their cell phones confiscated by staff members who then went through each and every text to make sure nothing was going on. And you're talking about texts that happen after hours and not on school grounds. And they're still looking at these things, and the ACLU wanted to get involved. And they're doing it to keep the students safe. To keep the students safe. And if you go to levels of things like that, if you go and you have, remember the teens who unplugged the bus heaters? And those are like, 13, 14-year-old kids trying to get an extra day of school off near Martin Luther King holiday, make it a 4-day weekend. I recall then at the time Prosecutor Rachel Hutzel going after them like they were wanted by the FBI or something like that. You had a drug sweep where they got a tip that some students may have had marijuana, but they found that I think maybe 1 or 2 bottles of Robitussin cough syrup that some students were using to get high, but they tossed the lockers like it was an episode of MSNBC Lockdown in the name of keeping the students safe. So if you're going to go to those extremes, and I'll point out too, where was it in not MILF, was it Amelia, where the kid had the hit list, remember, just last week? Batavia, 20 kids that he said he wanted dead. And they acted rather quickly on that thing. If this had been going on, let's say that they make this announcement, it all comes out, that this had been going on over a period of time, rather than maybe one isolated instance. You'd have to wonder aloud, going, well, wait a minute. If you can crack down on kids taking cough syrup, if you can confiscate cell phones based on rumor, if you can arrest a kid, throw him in jail for the alleged 20 people he wanted dead in another school district, why would it take so long for you to go after one of your own?
Because there's a lot of skeletons in the closet.
Possibly.
They want people
that's
digging
what
around.
tells me.
Hey, looking at that black guy, the picture you got.
On the block.
Is that a gold tooth or is that a gap? What is that? How much does that guy weigh? That's a big black man.
Well, I think, and I'm the school issue expert, Trace. I think you're the African-American expert on the show, being 3% black. You tell me, what's your analysis of him?
He looks like a decent man.
Rob in Indiana, you're on the show. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
I was just wanting to talk about my accounting teacher 20 years ago that was dating the girl that sat next to me. Everybody in the whole school knew about it.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't a big deal back then, was it?
No, it wasn't. But you know what was the big deal? Was that year at our prom, a very prominent Reds player was at our senior prom because he was dating a 17-year-old girl.
Now, who was that, Rob? God, who would do something like that?
The man that caught the last out in the 1990 World Series. I won't say no names.
No.
He married her. They're since been divorced, but he married her.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
She's dating a Reds player? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess you'd think it's cool. If my daughter was 17 years old and a 24, 25-year-old Reds player was here, he'd have hell to pay.
Wait a minute. I knew who that player is. I don't think he would do something like that.
I would bet you every money you got in all your accounts, Tracy.
The guy. Now, give me the guy that caught the.
I tell you what.
Who was it, Tracy?
I was standing at the urinals over at the.
You got to tell me.
At the Sheridan out in Route 4, and I stood next to this player, and we were talking baseball.
Was he a switch hitter? He's a switch hitter, right?
He caught the last out.
He likes guys and
No. That's I know he can hit from the right side and the left side. Come on, this is a serious matter. A switch hitter, right, Rob?
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was. Did he play for the Red Sox originally?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go there. You know what? No, I'm not.
Oh, you want to know everything I know in my brain?
I can keep a secret.
Huh?
Who was it, Tracy?
He played first base in the 1990 World Series for the Reds.
Hurry, let's go to the news before I just blurt it out. Hurry.
700 WLW. Sloaney and Tracy, 700 WLW. Just looking through the indictment here that came down a couple minutes ago. As I said, multiple counts. 16 counts, Tracy. 16 counts of sexual battery. Although looking through the indictment, it looks more like 19 counts here. So we've got Mike Allen coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll talk to him. It's either 16, 17, 18, or 19 counts of sexual battery involving Stacy Schuler. We first told you about her over a week ago here on the show. That
you did, and you got to take credit for that.
She engaged in sexual conduct with someone who attends the school, and all 16 counts happened between August and December.
So you don't know how many students. It could be 5 students, 3 times each, that kind of stuff. That would be
quite possible. It could be. I from the people I talked to, it's more than one. And from also those same sources I talked to, that sir, this may be the tip of the iceberg here.
What sick individual takes advantage of a young, innocent boy?
Did you see her picture?
I like the freckles. I tell you, I think. Do you like a girl with freckles?
No.
I like that. I think on the nose.
Hold on a second here. I thought you didn't like fire crotches because they have freckles. She's not a fire crotch. She's a brunette.
L.A.'s been out of town for 2 weeks, so a lot of things looking good to me right now.
So get her number if you weren't locked up.
Trace. Have you lost some weight lately?
Super Bowl 45 update is
you may want to stay seated. Don't make any sudden moves.
Don't leave the room.
Tracy. And walk backwards.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sig dropped his keys. He was kicking them all the way down the hall.
Super Bowl 45 update is a service of your Tri-State Chevy dealers. Packers and Steelers battle it out Sunday at Texas Stadium in the cold in Dallas at Super Bowl 45. Coverage begins at 5 Sunday right here on the big one. Green Bay's a 2-point favorite. Sports Talk will preview the Super Bowl tonight. Inquires Joe Reedy in Dallas at 6:10, and then John Thornton here on the big one. Bengals receiver Chad Ochocinco Johnson asked NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell the question that all of his fellow players wanted answered today. How far away are they from a labor deal getting done? Goodell, speaking at his annual news conference, says that a deal between the owners and players, he wants it done in the next few weeks. The CBA expires March the 3rd. College basketball tonight, NKU is up against Missouri S&T. Tomorrow, doubleheader here on the big one begins at Cintas Center in the A-10. St. Louis Billigans to face off against Xavier at 10:35 a.m. Then later, a Big East battle, 4th-ranked Pittsburgh hosting the UC Bearcats at 5:35 here on the big one. Baseball, Andy Pettitte announced his retirement today at Yankee Stadium, saying he no longer has the hunger to pitch another season. Is that how you felt, Trace?
Well, we talked about him yesterday. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't have that magic number of 300 wins, but you look at his record in the playoffs. I mean, he was really dealing.
5-time World Series champ, 240 wins in 16 big league seasons. Yeah. Jim Leyritz is getting another shot in baseball. The former Yankees player has agreed to become the hitting and pitching coach of the Newark Bears of the Independent Can-Am League. Leyritz was acquitted in November of DUI manslaughter in a car crash in Florida that killed a woman in 2007. ECHL hockey, your favorite team, Trace, is in town.
Nailers.
Wheeling Nailers to battle our Kelly Cup champion Cyclones tonight at U.S. Bank Arena, 7:30.
The boys are fired up. I just saw Director of Media Operations and Broadcast Professional Nick Brunger, and Nick Brunger was here.
He's going to fight the Wheeling radio guy tonight, I understand, if things get out of hand.
What's Brunger going these days? Maybe about 100?
I think it's Brunker.
What?
What are you calling him?
Brunger?
No.
Brunker. No, I've known Nick Brunger for years.
Is there a G in there?
He's like 115 pounds with hockey equipment on.
700 WLW.
He's doing a horrible job, by the way.
He's doing a great job. Do not talk badly
Nick's a friend
about Nick Brunger.
Been here.
The hell's wrong with you? Yeah. All right, we'll talk to Mike Allen in just a few minutes about Seg's behavior. And also Stacy Schuler, the Mason High School teacher, indicted on 16 counts. Although I'm trying to read the full indictment over my phone here, because I just got a copy of it, as this thing went down about 3:20 this afternoon. And I know Mike Allen's got a copy of this. He's pouring through it as we speak. So we'll fill you in on what we know. But what we know, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg. We'll also work in your calls, too, at 513-749-7000, 800, the big one, and pound 700 AT&T, and a free call for you. Tracy, in your high school career, now you said you knew a teacher that...
My high school baseball coach was fooling around with one of the song queens. She moved to Hawaii, became a high-class hooker. 3 years ago, he was arrested for child pornography in Arizona.
Really?
And that is a true story.
No kidding.
And this guy was a guy that I kind of looked up to, but I lost a lot of respect after I found out he was fooling around with one of our cheerleaders. And he would take her at lunchtime into his van, and they would have sex.
Really? What?
Yep. He was arrested for child pornography in Arizona.
The parents know about that kind of stuff, though, too? You know, I mean, you kind of turn a blind eye to that.
All the students knew about it and just kind of laughed.
Like in this case, makes me wonder why all this didn't come out sooner, you know?
I think it scarred this girl because she became a high-class hooker in Hawaii. That is her occupation, and she's not that bad.
But she had sex for money. I thought you liked that.
I just feel bad for the girl.
Because you knew her, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, she was a nice
We had a
girl.
teacher in our middle school that the rumor was she was in Penthouse, but I don't recall. I knew a teacher in college that was doing, actually, my wife turned out was one of my wife's roommates, that they had something go, a little something go. But that was college. I think you're allowed to do that.
Did you ever have one of the teachers hit up on you?
No. They could do it now, and I'm one of those guys. I'm just oblivious to that kind of stuff. I'm stupid. Brian Pitts has traffic on the big one, 700 WLW. Hey, Brian.
Hey, North 75, just before the lateral, got a car on its roof. It's got the left 2 lanes blocked. Tow truck is on the scene. They just uprighted the car a couple of seconds ago, but you're looking at stop-and-go traffic now from the viaduct, looking at maybe an extra 30 minutes to get by there. South 75 slows from the Laughlin split to the accident scene just south of the lateral. East 275 at 5 Mile, left lane still blocked from a wreck earlier this week. North 71 slows past Pfeiffer, and we've got accidents at Montgomery and Pfeiffer and Auburn and McMillan. Brian Pitts with traffic on 700 WLW.
All right, now your forecast from Fox 19. Clouds now. Snow comes in right around dawn, well after midnight, down to 26. Tomorrow, wet snow accumulation. Most of it's going to melt, especially late morning and early afternoon, 1 inch to 2, but it's going to be heavy and wet, 35. The high tomorrow. Sunday, mostly cloudy, flurries. Wet snow accumulating in the evening and overnight into a Monday morning and Monday afternoon. So back to work with Jim. Could have been a little sticky. We'll get a daytime high again right around 35. 39 with Sloaney and Tracy still ahead. Former prosecutor and current lawyer Mike Allen joins us not only to talk about the Stacy Schuler case in Mason, but an update on the Whitmer trial. He's got Warren County covered next on 700 WLW. Sloaney and Tracy on the big one, 700 WLW.
I saw another picture of her.
Was it? Yeah, I know. I got to get that on the blog.
I think she's all right. She's got a little bit of a big forehead. Almost has an 8 head. Nice teeth, though. Nice teeth.
Does she have the 5 head?
She has actually an 8 head.
Is it an 8 that big?
It's that big.
Okay.
Nice
this
teeth.
one she has a... Boy, she looks a lot like a girl I used to know in high school, though.
Oh, you wish.
No, I'm serious.
Oh, you knew.
The face.
Okay.
I worked with. She was 5 years older than
She looks young. Doesn't she look young? Freckles.
I think she's only 25, I thought.
Do you like freckles? On a brunette, not on a redhead, not on a fire crotch, but on a...
You just don't like fire crotches at all.
No, not really.
Mike Allen is the voice of all legal concerns on the Sloaney and Tracy show here on 700 WLW, and we've got concerns. Mike, how are you?
How you doing?
Better than Stacy Schuler and those in the Mason School District, and I'm saddened but at the same time intrigued by what's happening here. 16-count indictment that has come down, 3 counts of offenses involving underage persons. You have a copy of the indictment, Mike. What are you able to glean from it?
I do. I'm still going through it. Do you guys have it?
I do not have it. I had it downloaded, and for some reason the version I had was
okay.
PDF that was blank. So shoot it to me. I want to see it, too. Go ahead.
It's available or will be available soon on the Fox 19 website.
Good.
But at any rate, it looks like it's 16 counts of sexual battery, which is a felony of the third degree, carrying 1 to 5, and then at least 2 counts of underage providing liquor to underage kids. It's serious stuff. It's multiple dates too. It's at least 3 or 4 different dates they're alleging that this happened. So
going back how far, Mike?
The first date is August 20th, 2010, and then it goes to August 27th. From there to 10 September, 17 September, 15 October, and then the last couple of counts, it says from December the 1st through December the 23rd. Prosecutors are allowed to do that in the indictment, put as long as it's not too long, but put a kind of a range in there. So that's what it is. It's a 19-count indictment. So, yeah, 3 counts of the giving underage either beer or liquor to a minor, then 16 counts of sexual battery.
Wow. And now it says it, according to this indictment, though, it happened between August and October of last year. Although the speculation is that this may not have been the only thing. Do we often see that there is this indictment on sexual battery counts? You said 19 counts. That there may also be maybe others involved here, and that this will be kind of tacked on at a later date.
Oh, yeah, that happens frequently. The grand jury will get their initial swipe at it, and the prosecutor can always add charges down the road, and, that may very well happen. I'll tell you what, though, I mean, each and every one of these counts is an individual count, presumably, an individual minor, and these things could, in theory, be stacked upon one another, which means that,
What do you look at if let's say that a jury in the future finds her guilty on all 19 counts of sexual battery? How many years are we talking?
Well, at a minimum, if it's 16, the minimum it would be 1 year each. So 16, the maximum 5. Nobody gets maxed out first time around. And on a felony, not to get too technical, on a felony of the third degree, it's up to the judge. Well, it's always up to the judge, but the presumption is no jail time. There's no presumption either way, but Warren County, depending upon what judge you get, if these counts are sustained, he's probably looking at some prison time.
So, Mike, there's going to be a lot more details coming out in the future. How about my partner being out in front of this story? And you know that for a fact. Is there a chance he could be called as a witness if it does go to court?
Yeah, prosecutors almost never. There have been a few rare occasions where they'll call people in the media, but they tend to stay away from that. Believe me, if they got this indictment, they've got enough.
And they probably have. But from the people I'm talking to, and I'll speculate and say that there's probably a little bit more to the story than we're hearing even.
There always is, and again, like you guys pointed out, there could be additional counts, but man, I mean, this is plenty for her.
And there's not any mention of another administrator being indicted?
Nope. Not yet. I mean, there can always be separate indictments, and you can indict. In Hamilton County, they frequently do have indictments that contain 2 or more people, but this is just Ms. Schuler.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with the administrator is that they had some sort of relationship, either electronically or otherwise, or both. And as I recall, Mason Police said that they're not going to charge him in anything because that was more of a personnel issue involving this woman than it was something that a rule was being broken or the law was being broken.
Yeah, to be honest with you, that's the least of her worries at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Mike, if this administrator was texting pictures of his BBC to Stacy, that's not a problem. There's no issue there.
Probably not, as long as it's between 2 adults.
Right.
But again, the grand jury could indict presumably for something along those lines. But usually, what they'll do, the prosecutors will pick the strongest ones and go with them.
Now, how long? So we get the indictment down, and I'm guessing that what is the next step going to be here? We're going to move forward with prosecuting her, and the charge. The grand jury's come back and returned a verdict that there's certainly enough evidence here to indict her. And now, what timeline and what are we looking at next?
Well, this appears to be what's called a direct hearing, where police can sometimes charge first, then it goes to grand jury. But in this case, it looks like it's a direct indictment where they all just came into grand jury. She'll have to have an arraignment. My guess would probably be later Next week, they'll set a bond. It'll be referred to one of the judges in Warren County. Discovery proceedings will happen where the defense lawyer, whoever that person would be, gets all the evidence, and, of course, the media will as well. Next week, my guess would be for arraignment, and they'll set a bond.
Very good. Mike, hold on, because we want to ask you about Whitmer.
Okay.
Can you hold on? Great.
Sure.
It's our legal expert, Mike Allen, on the show on 700 WLW. Very latest with the indictment of the Mason teacher, Stacy Schuler, indicted now on 16 counts of sexual battery plus 3 more. And let's get traffic and weather before we get back to Mike. Here's Brian.
North 75 before the lateral, left 2 lanes still blocked for an overturned vehicle. Tow truck is on the scene getting it cleared out of there, but traffic is now stop and go from Ezra Charles. South 75 slows from the Laughlin split to the accident scene south of the lateral. East 275 at 5 Mile, left lane still blocked from a wreck earlier this week. And North 71, you're going to be on the brakes from Reagan past the Pfeiffer Merge. Brian Pitts with traffic on 700 WLW.
Weekend forecast like this. Snow after midnight down to 27. Get some wet snow showers through midday. Tomorrow looking at an inch, maybe 2 inches possible. And cloudy in the afternoon, 34. Then on Sunday, sun cloud mix. Back to the snow showers, though, on Monday with a high near 40. 37 now. Sloaney, Tracy, and more with Mike Allen from one part of Warren County to another. We'll talk Whitmer next with him. Next on 700 WLW. It's Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW. Held over by popular demand, it's Mike Allen, and we talked about Stacy Schuler. We'll get the latest on that multiple count indictment, 19 counts coming down today in Mason with that PE teacher accused of doing unspeakable acts with students, and a news update 4 minutes away with that. But let's quickly touch on Ryan Whitmer and the Whitmer trial, version 3.0. They had Dr. Charles Lee testify. He's, I think, the Licking County coroner, which is outside of Columbus, and he was on the stand, right?
He's a deputy coroner in Licking County. He's testified. Actually, he was the final witness in the last 2 trials. It looks like he was the only witness today. That they're finished for the day, but the state did not rest, which means that they have the weekend to think about whether they want to present any more testimony or evidence. But my guess is they rest unless there's some surprise out there.
So they could very well walk in Monday and go, we rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had to bet, I'll bet that's what happens unless there's some kind of surprise cooking out there. But the thing you got to keep in mind is prosecutors have to abide by discovery rules and witness list unless, they can show surprise or something like that. But my guess is that they're probably finished.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask you, when the defense calls their experts, do they call the same experts as they called in the first 2 trials, or do they do something different? And I was just, a little bit surprised that Whitmer would spend $500,000 on his defense last time. Does he even have the money to provide for the experts?
And they bandied that 500,000 number around. I don't have personal knowledge, but my guess is it's substantially under that. But he is out of money. He asked his lawyers asked the court to pay for some of the expert witnesses, and they did, because Judge Bronson agreed to pay for some of it. Now, the interesting thing is, in answer to the first part of your question, they'll probably present the same witnesses or close to the same witnesses, but they want to present the testimony of Dr. Werner Spitz. He's the guy that was involved in all the high-profile trials, OJ and some other ones. But that's not really funny. But Dr. Spitz supposedly choked on a chicken bone over the Christmas holidays and is medically unable to come to Cincinnati. So what the defense wants to do is just to read his transcript of his prior testimony, which is permitted under the rules of evidence if he's truly unavailable. Prosecutor's fighting that. The prosecutor doesn't want that to happen because it was good testimony for the defense. And Judge Bronson, unless he made it some afternoon, hasn't ruled on that yet.
All right, very interesting. Again, Mike Allen with the latest on the Whitmer trial, and again, expect prosecution to rest probably on Monday, unless there's something else they think is pertinent for the jury to hear. So I'm sure we'll talk again. Mike, enjoy the weekend, and thanks for the update on not only this but also the Stacy Schuler case.
My pleasure.
You got it, man.
Thanks,
and we'll get to news, traffic, weather. That is next. And coming up at 4:10 this afternoon, we'll continue on talking about the Stacy Schuler matter, and also Bengals cheerleader joins us. She was not only in Iraq, Trace, but she wants to give us her take on what's happening with the Super Bowl. Did you know that not only the Green Bay Packers, but also the Pittsburgh Steelers, no cheerleaders?
And how's that going to look when the players come out you don't have the cheerleaders.
We'll find out.
And you
next.
rent a cheerleader.
Home of the Red, 700 WLW Cincinnati. Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW. Heading to the weekend. We'll check in with Eric Dieters in just a second. Trace, the very latest on Stacy Schuler, the Mason High School teacher, 19-count indictment, what that all means exactly.
A story that you broke 2 weeks ago, Sloaney.
Okay.
I mean, you know a lot of details.
Well, as a matter of fact, this morning I was talking, Doc Thompson called me, and I was telling him that the indictment was coming down today, as it did. And I didn't hear this. I caught the tail end of it because I guess this guy called right after I had hung up and had issues with Doc and me.
Quick call here. Tom and Mason, you're on the big one.
Hey, Doc, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Real good. Hey, everything's fine out here in Mason, man. I just get tired of hearing all the bad news about Mason. I've been here 27 years. I feel the school district has run, real well. I mean, I think when I moved out here, maybe 150 graduates per class. Now it's over 700.
No, wait a minute. You're saying it's run well, but what if these things are true? What if it's significant? Yeah, as significant as we're being led to believe it could be a national story, and I'm not going to speculate on what those things are, but let's say that people are indicted and that this is a national news story. Obviously, some things going wrong.
No, I mean, there's a couple incidences. It's a big school. I'm not defending what they did or allegedly have done, but if it goes national, it's not their fault.
No. What I'm saying is that
it's the media.
No, what I'm saying. No. The media is just reporting on a significant story. You can't blame the media if it goes national. It means it's that big of a story. You were defending Mason like we're saying something inappropriate. We're talking about a situation.
No, I know it's a news story. I put 2 kids through school here. If I had more, I'd put them through here. I mean, it's a great school district.
No, but is your perception that Mason is being trashed somehow?
Well, no. When it keeps being talked about. It gets old after a while.
No, we're talking about it because it's significant. You could have a situation where a teacher and or a principal did something incredibly inappropriate and maybe even illegal. That's the reason it's talked about. And I would think that you would actually call up and thank the big one for providing this information and this service to the community.
Well, no, because I knew you guys were about 10 steps behind. I'm a big fan of WLW.
No,
don't get me wrong.
10 steps behind what? We had the story before anybody else did in the media.
In the media.
Okay, so who else had the story then outside the media?
Well, no, about it.
What's that?
I knew about it.
Well, okay, you knew about it. Where were you?
I live in Mason.
No, how did you know about it, and what did you know?
It wasn't from the media.
No, how did you know about it?
I've talked to people that go to the school.
Did you call the police based on those rumors?
No, I never call on rumors.
So you weren't concerned enough as a citizen, you're defending the schools, and you were turning a blind eye? Then you say, although we weren't on it, we were 10 steps behind, we were the first media outlet to actually be on top of it and care about it, and yet you're defending Mason like we're trashing it somehow, saying the media is responsible for this getting play instead of us providing information and a service to the community. You are incredibly lost, my friend.
That could have been one of the almost epic beatdowns I've ever heard Doc administer.
Old people.
So
Put
wait,
2 kids through school, 25 years ago?
You heard the rumors, but you didn't bother to act on the rumors. Then when they're reported, you guys missed the boat.
And don't
now
talk about being
Mason.
10 steps behind because you were on this 2 weeks before anything came out.
Let me just say, this is the kind of stuff, it's like, I live in the district. I don't want to tarnish their image. You're talking about something that's criminal. You're talking about covering up a felony here, for crying out loud, which tells me if this guy heard about it, not only are there more cases we're not hearing about, but it tells me this has been going on longer than what we're hearing with this last indictment, meaning where the hell has been any of the administrators, leaders, prosecutors, and everyone else that should have kept their eye on this thing? Because a kid brings a plastic peanut butter knife to school to spread peanut butter, that kid gets kicked to Guantanamo Bay.
Sloaney, you're way out in front of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, for your
And the
service.
community should thank you.
Traffic and weather together on the 10s on 700 WLW. Brian Pitts.
Hey, guys, still got a wreck South 75 at 275 in Sharonville. Right lane is blocked. Then your stop and go from Shepherd to Mitchell. An earlier accident there has been cleared. North 75 slows from the viaduct to Paddock and from Glendale Milford to 275. North 71 on the brakes from Dana Montgomery past Pfeiffer. East 275 slows from Kellogg out to 5 Mile, where the left lane is still blocked from a wreck earlier this week. Ryan Pitts with traffic on 700 WLW.
Forecast Fox 19, we have snow coming in after midnight. It's going to be wet snow between midnight and dawn, 26 overnight low for Saturday. Tomorrow, some wet snow accumulation. Most of it's going to melt, though. Late morning, early afternoon, somewhere in there, looking for an inch or two on the ground. And then that get a little bit of a break on Sunday, flurries mainly. Then wet snow back into play Sunday night, into the overnight, and into Monday afternoon. 35 now, Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW. Let's check in with the Bulldog, Eric Dieters, on 700 WLW regarding Stacy Schuler. Dog, you've had some experience in these areas yourself, defending teachers from allegations of sexual misconduct, right?
Well, that's true, and I'd like to make a few comments. I've been listening to you this afternoon that have not been made. First of all, let's also consider the possibility that she's innocent. And the reason why I state that is because I've seen this happen before. There was a famous case, Elisa Scott, up in Pennsylvania, and there was a whole bunch of boys that said things, and they ended up not being true, and she was found not guilty. But just to break this down, I think this would be important for your listeners to know, is that they're alleging 3 acts happened on August 20th, sexual conduct acts, and that involved liquor. August 27th, 2 acts involved liquor. September the 14th, 4 sexual conduct acts. And then they have a 2 where they have a broad range from September 17th to the 10th, October 15th, so they're probably unsure of the exact time, for the exact days. 3, and that 2 included liquor. And then another span of December the 1st to 12/23rd. So they got them nailed down to 3 specific days, and then 2 additional spans, 3 involving liquor and 1 not. But what's very important for everybody to know is that this is a statute which is a lot like the Kentucky statute, where it used to be that there was only what we would call statutory rape if somebody was under 16. Well, what they did is they said, well, what happens if you're in high school and you are in a position of authority? So what this is the statute that says if you are in authority, and they use the same thing in Kentucky for Nicole Howe, that even if somebody is above the statutory rape age, and this is very important, she has not been charged with statutory rape. She's been charged with conduct involving, obviously, people 16 to 18 and 19 with a sexual conduct. Now, very important for everybody to understand, she might not have had sexual intercourse with any of them. And in fact, some of this sexual conduct under the statute, it could be grabbing a crotch. It could be what we would refer to as some manual sex.
Yes.
What is that? What is that, Bulldog?
It's a broad range.
What?
It's a broad range of conduct that is applicable here.
One of the kids' name is Manuel?
Yeah, Manuel. So I just
is
think
BBC?
But it's obviously 3 specific days they can't nail down, pun intended, over the course of 2 time periods. But and alcohol's being involved in 3. But I'm just telling you, and you know some of the inside scoops as your kids go to Mason. But I can tell you this: I look at her picture, and the old saying, "God, she sure doesn't look like it." You look at her picture, and you're thinking, she looks like the All-American gym teacher.
Yeah. Well, the other thing. Yeah,
angels sometimes are
yes,
devils.
they do. And I'm looking at, I just posted this on my blog at 700WLW.com, and the perp walk, the deputy has her handcuffs behind her. She looks like she just got done with an aerobics class or like a jazzercise thing. And she has this look on her face, Dieters, like, what the hell just happened? What the hell did I do? Was this a good idea? You could just, if a picture tells 1,000 words, this one tells 1,000,000.
I can tell you this, and it's the same old, and we all do stupid conduct, but, you got to be careful about criminal conduct, and you know what, it's always sad to me, and you scratch your head, with all the national news, and if you're a high school teacher, you're probably paying attention to some of the national news. With all the national news and local news, I mean, hell, who in the community hasn't heard of the Nicole Howe trial?
Yeah.
It's how do you do something during a time period when you know that people are getting busted for this all the time, and how do you keep? And let's say it's true. How do you keep it secret when you're dealing much less with adults?
With 16-year-old kids, right?
How do you have 16, 17, 18-year-old kids keep a secret? We know the answer. They can't. They're going to brag.
Look at it this way, Eric.
I hope she's innocent.
Yeah.
I hope she's innocent.
Look at it this way. We work in the workplace. Coworkers who are mature adults will talk about office gossip. I always look at like a high school, a junior high school. Those places are like petri dishes of gossip because you have teenagers who are going to brag and make stuff up. You have 20-something-year-old teachers interacting with people who are not far removed from high school themselves. You have a kind of a sexually charged, testosterone-laden a place of work. I mean, this kind of stuff does happen a lot in schools for that very reason. That being said, yeah, I know innocent until proven guilty, but the way this thing moved and as many people heard, I would, if I were a betting man, I'd say there's probably more to this than we're even hearing today.
Here's another image for you that I admit is kind of fun, I guess, since we know that our audience is predominantly male. If you look at some of these things where you're talking about on September 10th, sexual conduct 4 times, okay? That could be, I guess, on that day, 4 different times that she did something inappropriate with one person or 4 persons. But if you take that to extreme, it's hard to imagine that cute little teacher having sex at the same time with 4 freaking male students.
Wait a minute. What are you saying, Bulldog?
I'm saying there could have been a full-long you-know-what going on. I mean,
what do they call those?
How do you like that image? 4 16, 17-year-old boys.
I don't like that. I think it's disgusting.
Teacher.
Bulldog, if this Stacy Schuler was smart, she would hire you as a lawyer. Can she hire you? I know you do.
Of course she can hire me. I've not heard from anybody, and she probably already has a lawyer, but I would love to represent her.
I mean, you've got a history. I mean, look what you did with Nicole Howell.
And I can tell you right now, this is the same kind of statute in Ohio that Nicole was charged with. And I tell you right now, especially if she's innocent or she's just guilty of a little bit of stuff like inappropriate emails and texts, and maybe there wasn't full-blown sex here, I would love to represent her.
Let me ask you this, though, and I will compare the Nicole Howell trial to the charges against Stacy Schuler here. In that case, was it just, refresh my memory, was it just one victim in that case against her? In this case, though, you have five of them.
Much bigger challenge when you have 5, because the prosecutor said it involves 5. So it's a much bigger challenge to destroy the credibility of all 5.
5, yeah.
Unless you and I both know that it's possible for 5 teenage boys to get together and let's say, hey, let's make this up and just do it. I mean, guys, I've learned so many times in the practice of law.
You never know.
And judges hear this, and prosecutors, you hear one side of the story, then you hear the other side of the story. Like, I think Ryan Whitmer's guilty as hell. I've heard both sides of the story. But I'm telling you right now, sometimes you think something is one way, and then you hear the other side of the story, and you, like, shift gears. I mean, you can be sitting in the courtroom sometimes hearing somebody testify, and you're like, my God, if I was the judge, I'd throw them in jail. Then you hear the other person testify, and you're like, man, I feel sorry for that guy.
Real quick, Eric, we're running late for traffic, but I heard with the 16-count sexual battery and then the 3 involving furnishing alcohol, she's looking at the upwards of 80 years. Is that your numbers come up to that?
Yeah. I haven't done the math, but you're talking about. But that's what happened. She'll either be found not guilty because she's innocent, it'll take her to trial, or they'll work out some kind of plea. And what they do is they throw all those counts. So the defense attorney says, okay, let's throw all. She could plead to like 1 count with each one of them, throw out the liquor, serve her 10 years, 5 years, something like that. But she will not serve 80 years. That'll never happen.
Will not be in 80 years. Bulldog.
If the Bulldog show up.
And how would Stacy get a hold of you, Bulldog?
859.
Wait a minute. What is that? Say that again. Sorry.
Did you say? Wait. What did you say?
859 what? 421 News?
Did you say 421 News?
Crumley? No.
No, that's
Come on.
not right.
What's the number again, Bulldog?
859.
250-2527. I like the way you guys take care of me. I really.
Good.
And you have to admit, Crumbine, Allen, or Dieters, who gives you the better color commentary?
The Bulldog.
The Bulldog.
The Bulldog.
Crumbine. I say Crumbine.
All right, so if you want to hire Eric Dieters to defend you against sexual allegations, 421-NEWS and ask for. All right, Bulldog, he's on this weekend. You're on like morning, noon, and night.
5 hours,
Bulldog. 5 hours, Super Bowl Sunday, noon to 5.
Well, I bet you'll be talking about this.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right, Eric. Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
Have a good
Bulldog.
weekend. Traffic and weather together. Brian Pitts, what's up?
Well, a wreck South 75 before 275 in Sharonville's been moved over to the right shoulder. The big problem is from Glendale Milford down to Mitchell. Got an accident there that's got the left lane blocked. Tow truck is on the scene now. North 75 slows from the viaduct to Paddock and from Glendale Milford to 275. North 71 slows off and on from Dana Montgomery past Pfeiffer. East 275 slow from Kellogg out to 5 Mile. Left lane still blocked out there, and a wreck at West Fork and North Bend. Brian Pitts with traffic on 700 WLW.
Forecast for your weekend from Fox 19. Snow comes in after dawn down to 26 in the overnight, and then wet snow accumulation. Most of it's going to melt late morning, early afternoon, looking for an inch or two again, and 35 the high then Sunday. Get a little of a break here. Get mostly cloudy skies, flurries, and wet accumulating snow comes back into play Sunday night, overnight, and into Monday afternoon. 35 right now with Sloaney and Tracy still ahead. Up next, we will talk to a student of Stacy Schuler's and hear what they have to say about what's going on with her and what they think if this is entirely possible, knowing her from a classroom perspective. That's next with Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW. Sloaney and Tracy, 700 WLW. Just kind of want to note here that it's almost 5:30 and the sun is still fairly high in the sky. It means the days are getting longer.
You don't miss a trick, because you mentioned that about 4 days ago, and that's when it
nice
started.
Out right now, isn't it? Yeah. Hey, I will not mention the name, but you are a student at William Mason High School. Are you a student that knows Stacy Schuler?
I do know her.
Are you currently a student there?
I'm at Mason?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so give us a story here. What do you know about her, and what are your experiences firsthand with her?
I know that she's actually a very good-looking teacher. She's, mid-20s? I don't know her exact
Yeah, I'm
age.
guessing like maybe 25, I heard.
Yeah.
How tall is she, Austin?
Like 5'8".
About 129, would you say?
Let's go with that.
Okay,
yeah, how good's Tracy? Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, and I mean, she teaches sports med, yoga, which the boys going into that class are all after girls.
Very excited, yes. It's a good class.
Yeah, boys.
And, I mean, she's dated past students, and from what I heard is she just jumped the gun a little bit and dated somebody that was a senior in high school.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem there. Going back with that teacher-student relationship. Okay, so these would be the past history would be kids, students who had since graduated.
Yeah,
which is perfectly legal because you're at the age of consent at 16. You graduate, no problem. But when you start getting involved with students who are currently students, that's where these indictments have come down.
Yeah.
She ever hit on you?
No.
Did you want her to?
Maybe.
It's a good answer. Smart guy.
Honest answer.
How long have you known about all this, Austin?
It's been about a month.
Okay, I mean currently, but before this, were there talk of former students and all that too?
Like you heard about it every once in a while, but no one really paid attention to it.
Gotcha. Because rumors fly all the time in the halls of high school.
Have you guys heard about the assistant principal that's been suspended as well?
Yeah,
that's the black guy, right?
Yeah, big.
What's his story?
Apparently, when they confiscated her computer, they found pictures of him on her computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brett Favre-like pictures possibly. So, yeah, that's we keep hearing that over again. That's totally unsubstantiated rumor. But and again, I'd like to stress it with his case, with Coates' case, there's no criminal indictments handed down, no charges, anything like that. So, I got you. Hey, man, I appreciate the time. We got to get to news here, and we'll have more on this Seg Has Sports. Also got a guy, someone else who was a athlete there who had her as a trainer because she was a trainer. So we'll talk to him too. Just ahead, 700 Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WLW.
You're having to cover your ears, aren't you, Seg?
Seg's blushing.
I'm not listening to you two.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, what's this? John and Mason, hi. John?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good.
What do you got?
Well, I've been an athlete at Mason for a few years now. Stacy's been a trainer for us. And as a teacher, I'm not sure of one person who doesn't like her, honestly. I mean, jocks, nerds.
The whole bit. She's like the Ferris Bueller of teachers.
Now, she's an athletic trainer, right?
Yeah.
What kind of tape job does she give?
She'll wrap ankles, high thigh, low
Does she
thigh.
use that pre-wrap stuff?
Yeah, the foam stuff.
If you like so, yeah.
He
She was
cold
always the nicest. She was always the nicest trainer. She was there for you.
Good.
For what you wanted.
So do you believe the charges against her, yes or no?
I can somewhat, and I can't all say it's just all.
Yeah, I got
fault.
you. I got you. You have sympathy for her. You feel she's a nice person, but maybe made some bad choices.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Many bad choices.
Good trainer.
Not as much as sorry as I am, like, for Coates, on the other hand, I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah, I got you. Hey, John, thanks, man, for the call. Now, hello, Zach. What's your take? You think guilty or innocent?
I don't know. I don't know yet. There's how much. What do we know about the case?
You ever had your ankles taped?
By her? No.
Want it real tight.
Super Bowl 45 update is a service of your Tri-State Chevy dealers. The Packers and Steelers go at it on Sunday. Texas Stadium, Super Bowl 45 today in Arlington. Officials say that 5 people were hurt, one critically by ice falling off the roof at Cowboy Stadium.
Tight, say.
So not good.
Said
Green Bay's a
your
2-point
ankles are
favorite.
dirty.
2 Steelers are out, definitely, for Sunday's game. Defensive end Aaron Smith, triceps injury, and then big center Marquise Pouncey is out with that high ankle sprain. We'll preview the Super Bowl tonight with the Enquirer's Joe Reedy in Dallas at 6:10, along with Big John Thornton here on the big one. 700 WLW Reds update. Former Reds outfielder Jim Edmonds has signed a minor league contract today to return to the St. Louis Cardinals. Edmonds spent the latter half of last season with the Reds after being traded from Milwaukee, hitting .207 in 29 games with Cincinnati. Tomorrow, a college basketball doubleheader tomorrow here on a big one. It begins at Cintas Center, 8:10 action, 10:35 a.m. with St. Louis and Xavier. And then later at 5:35, it's Big East play. 4th-rated Pittsburgh will play host to the UC Bearcats. Also tomorrow, Kentucky's at Florida. Miami's at Eastern Michigan. Dayton meets LaSalle. DePaul goes up against Louisville. ECHL hockey tonight. U.S. Bank Arena, the site at 7:30. Wheeling Nailers in town to battle our Kelly Cup champion.
What time
Cincinnati
is it?
Cyclones.
7:30.
And that is a look at sports right here on 700 WLW.
Brian Pitts, you ever have your ankles taped by a very attractive yet sexually charged female head trainer?
I have never, no.
Would you like to?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
What's going on the roads?
There's a wreck South 71 at Red Bank that's got the left lane blocked. That's got traffic backed up from before Montgomery, starting to back up toward Reagan. North 71 slows from Dana Montgomery past Pfeiffer. Got an accident South 75 before 275 in Sharonville. It's over on the right shoulder. Then your stop and go from Glendale Milford past an accident at Shepherd in the left lane. Is stop and go from there on down to Mitchell, where an earlier accident has been cleared. North 75 stop and go from the viaduct to Paddock and from Glendale Milford to 275 and East 275 slows from Kellogg to 5 Mile. Left lane is still blocked. Ryan Pitts with traffic on 700 WLW.
All right, forecast for the weekend from Fox 19. Snow comes in right around dawn tomorrow morning on overnight hours, 26 overnight low. Some wet snow accumulation tomorrow morning. Most of it's going to melt, but then back late morning and afternoon, maybe an inch or two right around there. Mostly cloudy flurries, wet snow accumulating Sunday night into the overnight and then into Monday afternoon. It's 34 right now with Sloaney and Tracy on 700 WL. David Lee, I can tell you the teacher got the pictures on the blog at 700WLW.com. Sloaney and Tracy here on 700 WLW, kind of recapping the Stacy Schuler thing.
And here's a picture on Cincinnati.com.
Slumbuster.
Oh, man.
Not her, somebody else. Wow.
It's a child porn suspect.
Oh,
Mom.
Lord.
Look at her. We might have to talk about her.
No wonder.
Monday. Whoa. That's Slumpy right there.
That's a Slumpy's
mom.
Not good.
Yeah.
All right, so 16 charges involving sexual. Let me get the charge right here. Sexual battery, 3 on providing alcohol, up to 80 years in jail, though Eric Dieter says maybe 10 or whatever if it's all said and done. I got a feeling there's going to be more here. And if that is indeed the case, because usually things just don't happen all of a sudden, you know, there may be other stories and the like coming out. I'm thinking all the things at school districts, and not just Mason, but in these politically correct days where every movement of your child is monitored. And I think of Warren County especially because in 2007 you had them confiscating cell phones of students because they thought there may have been text messages on there that were wrong, that may have happened off campus. And I'm going, well, maybe wrong, but you don't really have what happens off campus and away from campus doesn't really involve the school.
Right.
That being said, I remember they had a drug sweep there looking for pot, and they wound up with a couple students that had cough syrup that they're getting high off, which is serious, but they reacted quickly to that. We had the teen bus heater controversy a few years ago. About this time, a few years back, you had some, I think, 13, 14-year-old students that were unplugging bus heaters to get a day out of school. He treated them like, hung them up, basically like on the way on a tombstone here.
They
like
suspended those kids, didn't they?
Suspended, yeah. They, staph infection threats, they took all this stuff they take seriously. Down in Claremont County, the kid with the 20-person hit list the other week that he came out with, and and not only that, in Warren County, go back to Warren County, at the time, and I think Rachel Hutzel has her last act signed in this statement today, this grand jury indictment, before she moves on to be a judge. But she'd run those ads on the station here, talked about if you host a teen drinking party, you're going to go to prison, and all these other things that they do to protect kids. And I'm going, if you're doing all that, and God forbid the rest of the story comes out that this has been going on for some time and may involve others, that's not going to look very good. As a matter of fact, I'd be angry as a parent if that were the case, because I'm going, wait a minute. Now, you're delving into the minutia of kids when you're looking at their cell phones to make sure they're not doing anything wrong, but shouldn't you police your own house first?
You know who I want to hear from Monday? And, Paulie, here's a job for you to do. You're looking for something to do over the weekend besides doing what you do.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything, really.
What you do. We know what you do. Why don't you see if you could track down Stacy Schuler's ex-husband? Why don't you see if that would be interesting to get that take.
Can I ask you something for a second here in all seriousness? Now, Paulie is going to be working about 20 hours this weekend covering for people, getting ready for the show on Monday. As you keep, and I appreciate you, propping me up, saying what a great job I did breaking the story and getting the story of this.
Did a great job, by the way.
I appreciate that, partner. You're a good man. And we know how hard Paulie works in all seriousness, too.
Right.
Okay. If he's doing a lot of work and I'm doing a lot of, why don't you do something?
Hey, I'm the delegator. I delegate.
You're a union delegate?
I work 15 hours a week. I need to relax on the weekend, and I'm having that big party on Sunday.
Paulie came in at 7 this morning to cover for John Sturworth, who was sick. And now he's here today. He'll be here till about 9 at night and then working, I think, Sunday as well. I worked about 15 hours today on this thing. You work 15 hours a week? Maybe you ought to track down the
I need to recharge my battery.